जय राम बिहारी बिहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल।
निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
जय जय प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद।
जय जय प्रभुपाद Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Shripad, 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 Srila Shripad, Jaya Jaya
Sripad, 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 Srila Sripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev.
Gurudev, Srila Gurudev.
निताय गौरांग प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल। बोलो जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। निताय गौरांग भगवान जय जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम
Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं
Narayana Namaskritya
चैव नरोत्तमं
Chaiva Narottamam
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
ततो जयमुदीरये।
Tato Jayamudiraye
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
Prayeshu Abhadreshu
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी।
Nirbhavati Naistiki.
Welcome everyone in this wonderful cultivation of Bhagavad Dharma, Param Dharma, studying of Srimad Bhagavatam amongst the sadhakas, devotees, Vaishnavas, and it's a wonderful thing. We are in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 2. And what is the entitled second canto is Hiranyakashipu, King of the Demons. This is the second chapter, and today we will study text number 12. Yatra yatra dvijagavo vedavarna. Okay.
Yatra yatra dvijagavo
Vedavarnashrama kriyaha
Vedavarnasrama kriyaha
tam tam janapadam yata
Tam tam janapadam yata
sandipayata prishyata.
Sandipayata vrichyata.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So this is Hiranyakashipu is ordering his subordinates, all his demoniac followers. He's telling them, immediately go wherever there is a good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of the Varnashram principles. Set fire to those places and cut from the roots the trees there, which are the source of life. Interesting. Responsible, please Immediately go
Immediately go
wherever there is good protection for the cows.
wherever
Wherever
there
there is good protection for the
for the
cows.
cows
And Brahmanas,
and Brahmanas,
and wherever the Vedas are studied,
and wherever there are Vedas are studied.
in terms of the Varnashram principles,
In terms of the Varnashrama principles,
set fire to those places
set fire to those places
and cut from the roots the trees there,
and cut from the roots the trees there,
which are the source of life.
which are the source of life.
Purport. The picture of a proper human civilization is indirectly described here. In a perfect human civilization, there must be a class of men fully trained as perfect Brahmanas. Similarly, there must be Kshatriyas to rule the country very nicely according to the injunctions of the Shastras. And there must be Vaishyas who can protect the cows. The word Gavaha indicates that cows should be given protection. Because the Vedic civilization is lost, cows are not protected. Because the Vedic civilization is lost, cows are not protected, but instead indiscriminately killed in slaughterhouses. Such are the acts of demons. Therefore, this is a demoniac civilization. The Varnashrama Dharma mentioned here is essential for human civilization. Unless there is a Brahmana to guide, a Kshatriya to rule perfectly, and a perfect Vaishya to produce food and protect the cows, how will people live peacefully? It is impossible. Another point is that trees also should be given protection. During its lifetime, a tree should not be cut for industrial enterprises. In Kali Yuga, trees are indiscriminately and unnecessarily cut for industry. In particular, for paper mills that manufacture a profuse quantity of paper for the publication of demoniac propaganda. Wow. Nonsensical literature, huge quantities of newspapers and many other paper products. This is a sign of a demoniac civilization. The cutting of trees is prohibited unless necessary for the service of Lord Vishnu. The cutting of trees is prohibited unless necessary for the service of Lord Vishnu. Work done otherwise world. But if the paper mills stop producing paper, one may argue, how can our ISKCON literature be published? The answer is that the paper mills should manufacture paper only for the publication of ISKCON literature. Because ISKCON literature is published for the service of Lord Vishnu. This literature clarifies our relationship with Lord Vishnu. And therefore, the publication of ISKCON literature is the performance of yajna. Yajnathat karma anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Yajna must be performed as indicated by the superior authorities. The cutting of trees simply to manufacture paper for the publication of unwanted literature is the greatest sinful act. Wow. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarupa Damodar Swami Niti Namine Namasadbhaktamanaye Manipurudbhavaya Cha Srila Prabhupada Sadvani Prachara Niratayate Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Nam Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Param Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah vaishnavebhyo namo namah vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Very interesting, wonderful, and it's a missionary viewpoint, and with the importance of a Varnashram dharma, it's very essential. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says in that in chapter, Brahmana Kshatriya Vishyam Shudranam cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhavair Gunair. Whatever gunas they are born with, their swabhava, the natural disposition. Guna describe natural disposition, and accordingly the karma is a Brahmana, is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So that is very much it's a natural design or natural for the progressive, because Varnashram dharma it is a tremendous effect, especially under the influence of the three modes of material nature. For the gradual progression, in order to elevate the human beings beyond the three modes of material nature. Right now, we are within the three modes, under the influence of three modes, but the ultimate purpose in human form of life is to go beyond it and gradually raise our to the higher qualification. So that is the perfection of human potential, that we transcend these three modes and attain our transcendental or eternal status quo as the pure devotee of the Supreme, acknowledging his unlimited favor and acknowledging and understanding the very purpose of this manifestation of this material world. So this gradual progression is possible through Varnashram dharma, and that's why Lord Krishna has established Varnashram dharma, dividing, prescribed duties according to men's respective qualities. Everybody is born, inborn qualities certain people have due to previous karmas or previous, it's a continuation. Life is a continuation, and so do the sanskaras. They continue until we attain the transcendence. Then all these material sanskaras within the three modes of material nature, they leave, and so respective qualities means gunas and actions means karma. Guna and karma vibhagasya. So the arrangement of the pure caste system is very scientific, because a person, according to his eligibility, according to his adhikar, and according to his natural disposition in the present lifetime, one can be worked up to transcend the three modes. And that's the beautiful, because within Varnashram Dharma, what is the essential part? Within Varnashram Dharma, if one follows a system, then there's a discipline, there's an etiquette, and the possibility of satsang, the possibility of meeting, coming in touch with a pure devotee, Mahat Purush. That's why in Varnashram Dharma, many things people do within religiosity. It appears like spirituality, it appears as bhakti. Varnashram Dharma itself is not bhakti, but it facilitates the possibility of getting ignited the pure devotion service with the touch or with the association of pure devotee. So that facilitates. We see the society which are very much bereft of Varnashram Dharma. They have they are ruled by totally uncontrolled, and that's why the possibility of Mahatpurush Sangha, association of pure devotees, is very, very difficult, So that's why it is scientific. Why science means ultimately the science of Krishna consciousness, which alone will cause the ultimate benefit, which alone will cause the perfection of human potential. So this Varnashram Dharma plays a very, very pivotal role, the atmosphere, and no matter how conditioned the person is, within the realm of Varnashram Dharma, eventually he finds out the ultimate purpose of human form of life is to attain perfection, transcendence. But what happened with the passage of time, the common man, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, lost its effects, so that much. But now, here, Hiranyakashipu is telling his powerful followers that destroy this Varnashram Dharma, wherever the cow protection and the Brahmanas are, everything, just go there. Where it's amazing how demoniac. He's literally telling that to just destroy, because under the direction of Lord Vishnu, Vishnu is the leader of all the followers of Varnashram Dharma. And he is very inimical to Lord Vishnu because the Lord has killed his brother. He thinks this is very, very partially, means he has done partiality. If he's the supreme, he should be equal to all. So he has his own standard of equanimity. But ultimately, Lord has to do. When things go out of control beyond the human capacity, the Lord appears and just adjusts the things. But the demons again and again, they do their part. So this Varnashram principle, when it becomes destroyed, as in the present lifetime, although those who are born and raised in Vedic or in India, some effect is there, at least in formality, we follow certain etiquettes and some rituals of people, because people, even in ignorance about the effect of following the benefit, they have this faith carried through the traditions, so generations after generations. So whatever our forefathers and elders they have been following, that is for the benefit of us all. So those who are rooted in that style of upbringing, they naturally participate in following many aspects of Varnashram Dharma. But as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavatam, Dharma svanushritaha punsam vishvaksena kathasuyah notpadayed yadi ratim shrama evahi kevalam. So people become very involved apparently in following certain aspects of Varnashram Dharma. Not all the principles, but certain, and think that they are very advanced. But the purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to attain Param Dharma. If that is not attained, then it's a very, very, it does not serve the ultimate purpose of Varnashram Dharma. Because in Varnashram Dharma, because under the influence of the three modes, most people are, so the instructions are relative, correct? Relative instructions. That's why in the division, there are different roles and the dharmas and duties and expectations from different people, either in Varna and ashram, as a brahmachari, as a grihastha, as a vanprastha, as a sannyas, in the same way as a householder, or within the brahmanas, kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, very wonderfully defined the roles. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that unless there is an ideal Brahman to lead, to direct, ideal Brahman who can be honored by the society, a Brahman well-versed in the principles of Varnashram Dharma and well-versed in the understanding the ultimate purpose, ultimate success of Varnashram Dharma is to attain Krishna consciousness. Unless there is a perfect Brahmin who can be followed, and under his guidance, a perfect Kshatriya who can perfectly rule, provide the facility, provide the protection for the positive things in the society. And accordingly, the perfect Vaishya, ideal, and he has two functions. Vaishya has two functions. What is it? Protection means, what is it, Prabhupada? Prabhupada writes, Vaishyas who can protect the cows, and there must be Vaishyas. Injunctions of the Shastras, there must be Vaishyas who can protect the cows. So, if the cows are not protected, then Prabhupada says that means the Vedic civilization or the Varnashram Dharma is lost. Because the Vedic civilization is lost, cows are not protected, but instead indiscriminately killed in slaughterhouses. Such are the acts of demon. We can blame the demons, but think of how people behave under the influence of this time, Kali Yuga and the three modes, whatever you want to call it. Means lower modes, mode of passion and ignorance. Unless there is a Brahmana to guide, a Kshatriya to rule perfectly, and a perfect Vaishya to produce foods and protect the cows. Now this is where the dilemma comes. The Vaishyas, they produce, manufactures, industry or in the field, grain and vegetations, fruits and everything. And especially also the milk products and all these things. Vaishyas, they have to protect the cows. This is the additional responsibility of the Vaishyas. But think of the situation in the present time. It's very deplorable that in the Western countries, or even, India is at least much better off. Those who donate for cow protection, here's the thing. Millions of people, or lakhs of people, business people, those who, in the name of identify themselves as the followers of Vedic culture or Varnashram Dharma, they support cow protection. But at the same time, to earn their livelihood, they sell cow meat or beef. Isn't it the symptom of natural symptom of Kali Yuga, the hypocrisy? Hypocrisy and dissension is so rampant in Kali Yuga. People will support even by providing funds and everything arrangement, but they cannot stop selling or dealing in trading the meat of the cow, which the very person they are protecting. So is it not? It should not be common sense that if you are trying to support, if you really believe to protect the cows, the Vaishyas, how can you think of reeling or selling cow meat? Apart from most people eat meat in this world, but at least the cow meat means cow is so much honored in Vedic culture, because cows, protection of the cow becomes very essential. because it provides the milk and the nutrition, everything, and just how ungrateful. So this in Kali Yuga, the ungratefulness is manifest in the form of not for the protection of the cows. One compromises to earn one's livelihood, to prosper materially, and if it in order to make more money, if one has to trade cows or sell cow meat, people are not feeling dissuaded by it. Rather, they would do just because this is the situation. So here, Srila Prabhupada is writing very strong, mentioning in the purport that it is the Varnashram Dharma. Unless there is a Vaishya to produce food and protect the cows, how will people live peacefully? It is impossible. It is impossible. See, this hypocrisy is a common thing. And then Srila Prabhupada is bringing this point. So how one will get rid of this hypocrisy? Only when through Mahat Sangha, through the transcendental person, the bearer of this transcendental knowledge in practice. So information, knowledge itself is not enough. Everybody needs an ideal to follow, the ideal person to follow, and that's why the association of a pure devotee, association of one who is perfectly following the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma, because they are meant ultimately to bring us to transcendence. And because of the lack of the ideal people in the society, common masses, they just indiscriminately do just to get their end meet. अपने स्वार्थ, अपने उल्लू को सीधा करने के लिए लोग कुछ भी करने को तैयार है, because of this no ideal people, either the Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishyas. So this is the very powerful Srila Prabhupada is mentioning this thing. And that's why unless they are ideal Brahmins, and under their direction, ideal Kshatriyas and ideal Vaishyas who will not compromise, who will not compromise on the foundational principles of cow protection, then and then alone something is possible. So that's why then Srila Prabhupada emphasizing in the last paragraph totally on the distribution of this transcendental knowledge, and ISKCON is doing its part, and the trees, because Hiranyakashipu also wants to destroy the trees which cause rain and all the vegetation, correct? Trees means vegetation and all this sort. So he wants to really destroy those who follow the injunctions of Lord Vishnu, Varnashram Dharma. And then what is why these trees should be protected? But at the same time, Srila Prabhupada says, but the mission of the Lord or the instructions of the Lord, they must be disseminated. And that's why, although the cutting of the trees is prohibited, unless necessary for the service of Lord Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu is a source of everyone, and in order to spread this knowledge of Lord Vishnu's Lord Vishnu is the goal of Nate Vidhu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnu. The ultimate interest of the living entity is to become connected to Lord Vishnu. If that is not attained, then all this so much wastage of labor. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Until in human society a person is brought to this acknowledgement of the favor, unlimited favor of Lord Vishnu, then human existence is defiled. And that's why Srila Prabhupada writes that the literature if trees are cut, trees should not be cut, but if by cutting the trees, if the purpose of the Lord, for the service of the Lord, if the service of Lord Vishnu is performed, then it is all right. But other than that, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana, the famous injunctions that anything which we do, even so-called vegetarian food, it has karma. Not heavy karma, but karma nonetheless. It involves killing many things, many insects. So people can argue very easily, just as we eat many vegetables which grow in the water. So many people just eat many living entities who are born in the water. The whole idea is we have to follow the prescribed, authorized process. Food for one may be poison for others. So we cannot just imitate in the name of equanimity, or everybody can eat anything they want. No. Human society is given the injunctions to attain perfection, to attain transcendence. So for the human being, all these injunctions are given, catering to his spiritual perfection, not merely just living like animals and indiscriminately eating and doing things. So however civilized and advanced we think we are, unless we have this spiritual connection, unless we have Lord Vishnu becoming the center of our human endeavors and the development of our consciousness, expressing our indebtedness and gratitude and acknowledging our acknowledging that gratitude, acknowledging our love. Yes, we deserve to follow and please him, and that way we attain the perfection of human existence. Yatta pravritir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tata swakarmana tamabhyacha siddhim vindati manava. So the human society, human being attains perfection by following, offering the fruit of one's karma for the worship, for the pleasure, and for the glorification of the Supreme Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, towards the end, emphasizes that yes, if the paper mills stop producing paper, one may argue, how can our ISKCON literature be published? So what is the definition of ISKCON literature? And then Prabhupada says, ISKCON literature, because ISKCON literature is published for the service of Lord Vishnu. So any literature which is produced for the service means disseminating this knowledge, or propagating Krishna consciousness. It comes within the category of ISKCON, because ISKCON is just one expansion of that mission. So the ISKCON mission existed. It has existed since eternity, no? But it has manifest in our time in this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So see the absolute meaning of ISKCON described, because ISKCON literature is published for the service of Lord Vishnu. So any literature which is published for the service of Lord Vishnu, it is following the same thing. Because this transcendental literature clarifies our relationship with Lord Vishnu. So performance of the publication of ISKCON literature, or any literature which glorifies, it's a yajna. It's a yajna. So Srila Prabhupada, from instructions, many instructions give, just as the Vedas have direct instructions, the absolute instructions, and the relative instructions, because under the three modes of material nature, our situation is relative. We cannot follow immediately the absolute or final instructions. We have to go through the purification. In the same way, many instructions, the acharyas and the scriptures, they just according to time, place, and circumstances. Sometimes the relative importance is given just to use the situation for the benefit of the recipient. But ultimate purpose is to establish the absolute meaning of the instructions. You know? The ultimate purpose of Varnashram Dharma is that we develop love and our connection, our appreciation for Lord Vishnu. Na utpadayet yadi ratim shrama evahi kevalam. So that is the essence. That is the essence of ISKCON literature. You know, but if somebody can take literally, oh, it has to be ISKCON literature only. But if they don't notice the spirit of ISKCON literature, you know, then they will be like sometimes fanatic, or sometimes we can say sub-neophytes. You know, why sub-neophyte? Because in that position, one cannot identify even their own people, those who are doing the same work. So because they become so cripple-minded, like Srila Prabhupada uses the analogy of frog in the well. You know, so is the name ISKCON written in this literature? Then I will read. Otherwise, I will not. I will not read. They become so like this is cripple-mindedness. This is sub-neophyte. Sub-neophyte means one is not able to identify even his own mission, which is spread or which is shared. So what is ISKCON mission? So ISKCON has two meanings. Huh? One is the mission, and one is another meaning is also mission. Mission means the purpose. The purpose statement, Srila Prabhupada writes, to spread ultimately the pure devotional service. The mission of spreading the pure devotional service is the spirit, is the soul of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada gave his life to establish this possibility, you know, to give the connection to the pure devotional service. And ISKCON as mission means the facility. So there could be many missions, many facilities, many buildings, many people who can follow the same mission, the spirit. So many times people describe, ISKCON is the body of Srila Prabhupada. They mean all the buildings and facilities and all these things. But body also has the soul, you know. So what is the soul of Srila Prabhupada? The soul of Srila Prabhupada is this attitude of developing attitude, this spirit of pure devotional service. So wherever the spirit of pure devotional service is expressed through our actions, through our words, and through our contemplation, we are in that real sense the part of ISKCON, within ISKCON. But apparently, or maybe using the facility of ISKCON or whatever, and still his consciousness could be lost into many ulterior motives. So which mission we are focusing on? The facility or the real spirit behind it? So Srila Prabhupada has very wonderfully clarified that only if for that purpose, if the literature of ISKCON is and therefore the publication of ISKCON literature is the performance of yajna. But if the literature is utilized for any other purpose, then it is very sinful. So it's very clear what we get from this purport. You know, we must not be. One final point: the misfortune of Mayavadis and these demons, they have the same destination, but at least these demons or this Hiranyakashipu, he's acknowledging that Lord Vishnu is a person. That's why he wants to kill him. Correct? But the misfortune of Mayavadis, they don't even acknowledge that Supreme could be a person, and that is the disease. And so they very in their corrupt intelligence, through their corrupt intelligence, they deny the very personality of the Supreme. And so they are definitely worse than that. Worse than the demons. At least to demons to deliver, Krishna comes and personally put them away because they are creating so much a nuisance. But this impersonalist, because they cannot honor the Supreme as the Supreme Person. So even in their missions, you can find the apparent worship of the Supreme, the deity and everything. But their consciousness has become so corrupt. So apparent and real. So today I wanted to establish that apparent and real, one must go for the real. Apparent could be real, but real is always going to be real. So where we are stuck, we must explore whether we are stuck in the form or we go for the real. So we are all product, or you can say that we have become the beneficiary of ISKCON mission. And now, what is our understanding of ISKCON? It should be very, very clear. Otherwise, we will remain cripple-minded in the name of ISKCON, in the name of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said many things. They have relative importance, and they also have the ultimately the absolute importance, because the absolute instructions very difficult in the conditioned state for most people to, because that much faith is not developed in Sri Guru, because they will argue, they will intellectual, they will try to understand, and just to help them out, many relative instructions are there. But Srila Prabhupada himself is a follower of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's a follower of previous acharyas. So any instructions which we try, we fashion in the name of Prabhupada. Prabhupada said this and Prabhupada said that. We better bring the scriptural foundation or injunction, because that is the tradition we have in Rai, and all our Goswamis, whatever they write, they bring a scriptural injunction or authority. They attain their authority, authenticity. They attain their authenticity, gain their authenticity through the authority of the scriptures. They are not saying or indicating or giving something independently. So the scriptural authority is always brought in picture for the benefit of all of them. And ultimately, whatever understanding we have of what Prabhupada said and what our Guru says, it better be backed by the scriptural injunction. Otherwise, we will again become cripple-minded. My Guru said this, or Prabhupada said this. Prabhupada himself is a follower. We cannot put Srila Prabhupada independent of what is established by Bhagavatam and the previous acharyas. So from that point of view, we can become the true recipient and true follower and true representative of the divine mission which Srila Prabhupada brought in the lives of the whole humanity. Hare Krishna, all of you, and thank you for your kind patience. And if you have any addition, something to add or any questions, please come forward to bless us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaji.
Hare Krishna.
And wonderful class. Yeah, if anyone is having any question regarding today's class, they can raise the hand and ask His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Govind Maharaji. Yes, Balramji, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, Thandu Pranam. Very nice class. My question is, so everything that happens in this universe is through the Lordship of Krishna. But we say as the Kali Yuga progresses, everything will degrade. All the good things will go towards degradation. And finally, when the next Satya Yuga starts, then again everything will emerge. So, and in this case, when we think about Prabhupada is writing here, not to cut the trees and protect everything, this is, this can be also against the will of the Lord, because as we think, I mean, everything will degrade over time. So how do we debottle these two ideas? How do we understand this?
Well, Kali Yuga, material existence, whether it is in Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga, especially emphasizing Kali Yuga because it pertains to our situation. It's a bad bargain, you know. It's a bad bargain. Material existence is a bad bargain. So when we get the spiritual vision by causeless mercy of the Vaishnavas, then it becomes possible that we can understand, we can do the best use of the bad bargain. There's nothing beyond, nothing free from the influence of the three modes and time, and no work, Lord Krishna says, is bereft of some dosha, but minimize the dosha, you know. That's why Prabhupada, in arguing, killing the cow and killing the vegetables is the same thing. And so the person was arguing. And Prabhupada said that you can get away. I mean, so you need not kill and take somebody's blood, especially the animal or the one who is giving you milk. At least some decency, some totally means why we are having a human body or human form of life, because we can sense, we can discriminate, we can see right from wrong. So in that point he was always emphasizing. Otherwise, it's a bad bargain. The degradation is going on since eternity. You know, every moment, this whole existence is how many Kali Yuga come since eternity. Ultimately, you know, the partial dissolution, then the ultimate full dissolution, they will take place. So Krishna is giving multiple opportunities to all of us. You know, so how this bad bargain of this material existence becomes best used, you know, when we get this spiritual vision, spiritual understanding. This is what makes one stand out amongst many people. Maybe from material point of view, maybe situated in much wonderful way or many ways, you know, but without the spiritual vision, they will create greater mess, because these three modes can be utilized, you know, means gradually. Activities under the direction of the spiritual authority, even the people under the influence of these three modes, they can be raised to the transcendental platform. So that is the mercy. Can you imagine without Krishna consciousness coming in our direction, where would we be? You know, we would be still pretty much entangled into thinking that we are better off than others, and all this relative platform. We will have no idea what the absolute platform is. So whatever is, the world is moving as per the will of the Lord. It is keep moving, and still, as it is degrading and influence is becoming more and more rampant, still one can have the divine grace, the possibility of divine grace in this human existence. And that's why we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. We can discuss for eternity the bad influence of Kali Yuga and the bad influence of three modes and everything. And in spite of that, or despite all of them, we have this possibility of becoming a pure devotee ourselves. Isn't it wonderful? And the shortest cut in Kali Yuga, Mahaprabhu has given us the shortest and the surest cut through this Sankirtan. So any human being, no matter what sanskar from the previous births and anything, if one has come across, if one has been blessed to appreciate a pure soul, a pure devotee, that appreciation will cause him becoming a pure devotee also, in spite of the most rampant Kali Yuga. Because then what happens, this Bhagavat, this spiritual vision, what it does, it gives one a clear picture what to follow and what to not follow. You know, param drishtva nivartate, as Krishna says. When one becomes awakened enlightened through this spiritual journey or spiritual perfection of our human existence, then a person will be very determined to let go his material conditioning slowly and gradually, slowly. So this possibility should always encourage, rather than thinking in a discouraging way about the influence of the time and the Kali Yuga. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Maharaj. And when the population increases, they need food and shelter, everything. So in that case, what alternative we can think of if we don't cut the trees or don't arrange all this shelter for everyone? So how do we get all those?
How we get all the means of the food and different things?
Yeah. The requirements.
Yeah, there's unlimited.
How do we build the houses, Maharaj? I think he meant how do we build the house for everybody? We don't cut the trees.
Everything, food also. I mean, we need food also, and
that's why I'm saying that the world through its influence of the three modes and demonic nature and everything. Even in Satyuga, this Hiranyakashipu was creating havoc. Nah? So doesn't matter. Ultimately, spiritual awakening is the only rescuing thing. And you think that these things, houses will be created, trees will be cut, cows will be slaughtered, but who can free oneself individually and collectively, as many people as we can? Srila Prabhupada, he preached very strongly. At the same time, he knew that however strongly he preaches, most people will still remain demoniac. But certain percentage can be changed. There is possibility. We should not try to change the world. Ultimately, it is we can change ourselves. So if I have changed myself, I have changed at least one part of the world, and then through my being changed, if others become inspired and encouraged and benefit, that would be wonderful. Ultimately, Mahaprabhu says, "Janma sarthak kari." If I can at least change myself perfectly in the spiritual direction, then naturally I will be very much befriending those who are also inclined to change themselves. So the whole idea is majority population, they will just remain demoniac. The hope is that as a human being, we have the possibility of everybody turning spiritual. Lord Krishna said, "Kaschin mam veti tattvata." In the same way, although as a human being, everybody has the potential to become spiritualized and transcendentalized, but the fact of the matter is we can increase the number one by one, few by few, but we should not think that we can change the whole world. The whole world will change at its own pace. And Krishna has unlimited patience. He says, "Kaschin mam veti tattvata." Only some rare person knows me fully. And although as a human being, everybody has the adhikar. Adhikar means the right to become full-fledged Krishna conscious. But the reality is that although the adhikar is given to everybody, eligibility has to be gained, and it takes quite some effort. It requires tremendous mercy. So those who feel the mercy, they can attain the supreme destination. But others struggle life after life, and so this is the continuation of material existence. And by Krishna's design, this material existence continues as long as it continues. But what we are discussing here is in a present context. What is my opportunity? What is there meant? What is for us to take? We can think and deflect so many situations. So ultimately, we have to also focus what we are up to. So this Bhagavad culture ultimately involves us in a spiritual direction. If we become involved, then we can think of involving others. One becomes fully consumed, in this process.
Yes, Maharaji. Thank you very much. I think always there are better alternatives.
Yes.
And we should make use of all those better.
Yes.
Better
Go to the
paths.
next question, Maharaji. There are 1 or 2 questions more. Time is.
Thank you, Maharaji. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Hare Krishna. Shyam Kishore Das ji, no? Or who is Bhavanarayan? Bhavanarayan. Bhavana.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. कौन है?
Bhavagrahi.
Hare Krishna.
अच्छा.
Bhavagrahi Janardana Das.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Pranam Maharaj.
सब
Very
आनंद.
nice lecture.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I have one small simple question.
Yes.
You have told about that 4 varnas and their performance of their duties. And yes, as per Prabhupada sir descriptions, and the Vaishnavas are coming by chanting and getting the spiritual knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and their practice of Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Now in this Kali Yuga, you know, the major population is on the 4th category of Sudra. And the present percentages of these 4 varnas are quite different. And how to bring more Vaishnavas? Can you explain more?
Beautiful, very beautiful question, because within this material world, even within Varnashram Dharma, the complex is conditional. One can think one is superior, superior than others. But the ultimate purpose will be served when one will acknowledge that one is diseased, Following Varnashram Dharma itself is not the end of it. It is only the means. And to ultimately realize that we are in a diseased condition. And so when a person is diagnosed with some disease, what he does, now he cannot just sit idle. He has to get rid of that disease. No? So this in Varnashram Dharma following, at least a person becomes aware about his progressive life on many fronts, and ultimately the possibility of attaining spiritual perfection. The necessity of the soul is recognized, identified through Mahat Sangha. So that's why Srila Prabhupada emphasized this Varnashram Dharma, because when a system is followed, the ultimate purpose of the system somebody will express. We don't follow any system or Varnashram just for the sake of following it. Because if it is scientific, it is designed to ultimately benefit us for spiritual perfection. So this is possible through this Mahat Sangha. And so when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, we identify our disease condition, and Varnashram Dharma just helps us to come out of that disease condition and attain the affinity for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because without that acknowledgement that I'm a disease condition, a person can procrastinate and continue thinking, oh, everything is a makeup. In Varnashram Dharma, we follow a lot of makeshifts, because our existence comprises this gross body, mind, and the soul. So oftentimes, the body and mind take a very prominent position. And even while following Varnashram Dharma, the necessity of the soul is often ignored, overlooked. We emphasize the need of the body and the mind. But when the Mahat Sangha, when we come across this Bhagavad Katha, the association of devotees, we realize that the body and mind has to be utilized to serve or cater to the need of the soul, our true identity. So the identity crisis could be still very prominent even within Varnashram Dharma until the Mahat Sangha comes. So this Varnashram Dharma appears very spiritual, traditionally everything. It appears, but Varnashram Dharma itself is not spiritual. It can lead to spirituality through when one comes in touch with a pure devotee. Without that, it could be also too much, so much shrama evi kevalam, so much entanglement, like that. Hare Krishna. So right, so that aspect, that Mahat Sangha and the Bhagavatam study, and Nama Sankirtan, these features, if we perform, then we have got the best out of this Varnashram Dharma following. But if Bhagavatam study, Nama Sankirtan, Vaishnava Seva, these 5 limbs especially, Nama Kirtan, Vaishnava Seva, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura was visiting the, residing, aspiring to attain the residence in Mathura Mandal, Bhagavad Dham, and to be able to worship the deity. So all these aspects are possible through the Vaishnava Sangha. When we come in touch with pure devotees, then these things become incorporated in our lives. Then we are no more like merely just Varnashramis. We have attained the Daivi, the spiritual or the divine aspect of our Varnashram Dharma, because that is the very purpose of following Varnashram Dharma. All right? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I think we may conclude for today.
Okay, all the Vaishnavas, thank you for your kindness. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shla Shla Prabhupada ki jai, Shla Sripad Guru Maharaj ki jai, Samavet Nitai Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.
Hari Hari, His Holiness Bhaktiswarup Govind Maharaj ki jai. Thank you all for joining. See you all in tomorrow's class. Hare Krishna.